Okay. So, sine function. And I might give you an assignment, which will take a little bit of time, not that bad, about a guy named Freddy the Frog to work on the weekend. So you kind of get a better, to kind of solidify your understanding of this. And the assignment will take half hour, 20 minutes or so. So, sine function is periodic. It just keeps repeating itself. No matter how far it goes in the angle, it's always going to be there. And the Freddy the Frog thing is something I always do. Usually I do it in class. But having you guys sit at home doing it wouldn't be, like in class, wouldn't be as beneficial. So sine function is a periodic function because it repeats itself, right? And it keeps going. And next week we're going to learn how to kind of shift this sine function up and down. Just transform it, just like we did quadratics, okay? It'll make a lot of sense because it's exactly like quadratic shifting, but just using the sine function, okay? So, as we went through yesterday, and the very first part of today is going to be going over our period, max, min, axis of curve, amplitude, and we're going to do domain and range as well. Okay, I'm just going to have you explain it in words. Okay, so I want you to take a look right now and see if you can figure out these things as I pull out yesterday's note that is in your. Oh, my daughter's singing "O Canada" again. Did you guys want to sing "O Canada" at the beginning of every day? No? Alright. No? Are you sure? The kids are having fun doing it. Oh, Tanner says yes. Tanner gets to pick who sings "O Canada" for next Wednesday. J-Matt? Okay. Warm up the vocals, J-Matt. Okay. So let's look here first. Okay. Let's fill in our chart. Okay. The period. How long it takes to do a full rotation. And some people find it easiest to do period by looking at like 2 high points to pick out or 2 low points to pick out. Then the difference between those 2 numbers. Okay? Can someone type into chat right now what they think the period of this is? Okay. So who thinks they know what the period of this is? 180 for it to go through a full rotation. Okay? Not to get back to the same spot, but to go through a full rotation. What are we looking at here? $360, good. Alright, yeah, so 360. So there's 2 ways to kind of look at it. I could, why am I using my mouse? What I could do is take this spot, this spot here, and this spot here, and find the difference between these spots, right? So that would be like 450. Oh my gosh, I am way off right now. 450 minus 90, which would equal 360. So I take my two spots I pick where I go through a full rotation, right? So I hit here, and by the time I get back to that spot, right? Now, if you pick here, you'd say, isn't this a full rotation? No, because it goes up, but then it's got to go down again. So that's where those 2 spots would be. Okay. Who can tell me what my max number is? What's my max and my min? My max is 1. Good. So my max is 1. And what's my min? Min's -1. Good job, Ben, as well. Oops, why did I write max? -1 and 1. Okay. Now what's my axis of a curve? Here. axis of the curve. Now you probably recognize it by just looking at it, but let's actually do the math of it. So it's max plus min divided by 2. So 1 plus negative 1 divided by 2. Right. Equals 0 divided by 2, which equals 0. And that's that line straight through the middle. Okay? Now it's easy to see here because the middle is easy to see, but sometimes it's not as easy to see. Now what's our amplitude? If we go down to our list here, our amplitude is max minus min. So 1 minus negative 1 divided by 2, which equals, these two are going to equal a positive. 2 divided by 2 equals 1. Good job, Ben. Now, domain and range, the thing that you guys all hate. So domain, if you remember, looks at the x-axis. Okay? And the range looks at the y-axis. So, let's start with the domain in this sense. Now, this ends, okay? If this curve kept going, this way, and this way, you'd assume it goes forever. Okay, but we don't right now, which I kind of like. So what's my domain? What's the low point, and what's the high point of my domain? Okay, if we were just type it in words, that's all I want you to do right now is type it in words. What's the low of our domain? So you could say like the domain goes from blank to blank. What's going to go in those two sections there? If you're looking at domain along the x-axis. Go ahead, Ben. 0, 7, 20 in this case, since it ends there, right? Now, if it kept going, we could say domain is any real number or domain's infinite, right? Because it would just keep going forever left and right. How about my x-axis? I mean, my y-axis. The range goes from blank to blank. What's the two numbers I'll put in there? One, the negative one, Nathan? Good. Perfect. I'm always interested in what Emma's writing because her name pops up there a bunch. Good. Now let's do this one here. Okay. This one's shifted around a little bit. Okay. Now these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one of these are ones. Okay? And each of the vertical lines are 0.5s. I'll write that in there. Oops. This is 1, 2, 3. 3. This is 1, 2, and this would be 0.5. Okay? So, there we go. Now you can see it all. So I want to give you a minute and see if you can work the first three out. Period. Actually, should we do waterfall? Let's do waterfall. Let's start with a max. What's my max value? Type it in, but don't press enter. Okay? Type in what you think the max value is. We're going to wait to do period. I kind of like doing period kind of third. Okay, what's the max value of my sine function here? Okay. On the count of 7, but wait, Tanner, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go. Press enter. 4.5, 4.5, good. 4.5, remember these are all 0.5s. It's kind of tricky, right? 4.5, 4, 3.5. Down here it's going to be negative 0.5, 1, negative 1.5. Good. So the max was 4.5. Now type in what you believe the minimum value is. Okay? Don't press enter, Tanner. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Press enter. Good. Negative 1.5. Actually, let's keep going to axis of a curve. What's your axis of a curve? See if you can figure that out. Remember your equation over here for axis of curve, right? Max plus min divided by 2. So don't do the math, type it in the chat, and I want to see who's got the answer before I do the math on it. Okay. Anyone else have an answer right now? Chris says 1.5. Okay. So let's take a look here. Axis of the curve is max plus min. So 4.5 plus negative 1.5 divided by 2. If I add those two together, I'm going to get 3 divided by 2, which is 1.5. Okay, which means if I were to draw pink, where's my pink? That shape. If I draw a line right here, that's supposed to make a line. That's the middle of that graph. And you kind of see it kind of cuts it in half. Okay? I'll use a different color than pink next time. Now what's the amplitude? Now remember, amplitude is always positive. You can't have a negative amplitude. Okay? Max minus min divided by 2. Good. So max is 4.5 minus negative 1.5 divided by 2, and those two are going to make a positive. So it's going to add up to 6 divided by 2, which equals 3. Good. So that's one way you can do amplitude. You can find it to be 3. Or once you have your axis of the curve, you can take a look and say, okay, how far from here to here? Right? We're at what? 1.5? So this between 1.5 and 3.5 is, 1.5 to 4.5 is 3. And the way down here is also 3. So you can take a look if you know your axis. Good. Morning, Lawrence. I didn't know Arthur was on a different time zone. All right. Now, what's my period now? What's my period? How long to do one full rotation? Usually I can take the tops of the sine curve, so right here, and right here. Unfortunately it's a little bit off. Let's round it to that line right here. What's my period? How long does it take to go through one full rotation? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. About 6.5. Does that make sense, everyone, how I got that? And I could count between these two as well. So it's a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now these guys go on forever. This guy goes on forever here. This guy goes on forever here. So our domain, that's dealing with the x-axis, right? We could just say any number. So what's my what's my range? Can you guys give me my range? What would I type in for range?
1.5 to negative 1.5.
Perfect. 4.5 to negative 1.5. Excellent. It's 9:30. What did I write down for time? I will do one more. Won't hurt you to see one more. Oh, shoot me. I'm gonna stop my recording. Alright. So let's do one more of these. Okay. Or better yet, I'm gonna give you, let's say, 4 minutes to fill out this chart. Okay? Then I'll go through it and we can check our understanding with it. Would you rather me give you 4 minutes to fill it out or walk through it with you? So write walk if you want to walk through, or 4 if you want a couple minutes to figure it out by yourself. Someone wants to walk through? Okay. Alright, I will give you, how about 2 minutes, and then I'll start walking through it. Okay? Therefore, you can get down what you think is there. Okay? And then you can double check it with what I do. Okay? I'll write down, those are all ones. Everything's a 1. In terms of, that's 1, 2, each line's worth 1. Okay? And you can round up if they're close. Oh, sorry. Clicked on the wrong web page. Okay, I'm going to start going through it right now with you. But let's start with my max and min. My max is right here. Okay? So the highest point of my curve is my max. So that's going to be 2. My minimum is my lowest point of my curve. These spots. So that's going to be minus 10. Right? Now to find the axis of my curve, it's max plus min divided by 2. So, max plus, what am I doing? I don't need to rewrite that. I'm going to go 2 plus negative 10 divided by 2. 2 plus negative 10 is negative 8 divided by 2, so negative 4 is my axis of a curve. Sometimes I like to draw the axis of a curve, so I go negative 4. Let's make it bold. What color should I go? Red's a good color. It's way too thick though. There we go. So there's my axis of a curve that goes right through the middle. Okay? Now my amplitude, max minus the min, so 10 minus negative 10 divided by 2. These are going to make a plus, so it's 12 divided by 2, which is going to be 6. And if you look at it here, if I go from -4 to -10, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. And if I go upwards, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares as well. Okay. If I go back to my period, I'm going to go from one point, one top to another top. And the difference there is, let's say that's a 0.5. We're going to start this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5. The distance between these two. Oh, I forgot where 6.5 or 7 will work as well. Good. Now my domain, these go on forever, right? So I can write any number for my domain. For my range, it's between -2 and -10. Between 2 and -10.
Did you do
attendance? Not yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, no problem. So, in between 2 and -10 would be my domain. Okay? Thumbs up. How about we do confidence in this? 1 out of 10. Colin, I'll redo the lesson with you. Okay. So good confidence, feeling good about it. A chopped up message. So today's homework, like this morning's homework, is actually Thursday, the very last part of Thursday's lesson. Okay, this part here, there's 2 graphs to do. For this one, you can do the following. Here's how I want you to graph it. You can go on to either your calculator or your computer. Go to Desmos. Those are not the answers for today's evaluation. Go to Desmos. You can change this item to a table and make the exact same table as they have here. Okay, never mind. Don't do the last one. It's going to take too long for me to explain to you. Okay? So your homework are these 2 questions right now, which should take you about 10 minutes, and we'll be back at 10 a.m. And I'll do my attendance right now in chat.
Can you explain